In this video, we'll be looking at defining constants, which are static and final fields in interfaces versus defining them in abstract or concrete classes. So first, what we'll do is I want to get rid of a lot of this, so I'll just keep it simple, nice and clean. And I also don't need this comment, so I'll get rid of it. And I'm going to run it, so it gives me a nice, clear console area. Okay, so we mentioned when we were talking about abstract classes is that abstract classes cannot have instance variables other than constants. So the only field that you can create is a constant. That's why if we go scroll all the way down, and when we created our constant, you notice that we didn't explicitly say that it was public, static, and final, because this is implicitly done for us. So since it is a constant, it's static, meaning it will belong to the class rather than an instance. And since it's final, it cannot be modified. So let me show you how that works. So if I go to the tester class, and over here, I try to access action. First, let's print out the value. So action.action name. Let's run it. So we just get the word action. Maybe we can say action from the action. Interface. So we make it not into that interface. Okay. Right. And the action interface. So if we try, so this is static. This is a static field because it doesn't belong to an instance of a class. It's actually just, it belongs to the class and it's shared among classes. So classes can share this value. Shared among the class. So it belongs to the class itself. And if we try to change its value by going like, say, action.action name, and I'll try to give it a new value, we won't be able to because this is final. If I hover the mouse over it, the final field cannot be assigned. So it's final, meaning you cannot modify it. All right. Okay. However, what we want to do is we want to show how to do this in the animal class. So that's how we, I should comment this out really. So this is how we define a constant in an interface. You don't need to explicitly say public static final. Whereas if you were to do this in an abstract or a concrete class, so the same, what I'm going to show is how you do this in an abstract class, but I'm also going to mention that it's pretty much the same for concrete. So let's have a look at, we've got an abstract class here, and let's have a look at how we can define a constant. I've got a comment here. Constants in abstract and concrete classes must be explicitly declared as static final to be considered constants. So the format would be public, static, final, string, default, that's the name, default sound is equal to default, oh gosh, sound of an animal. So this is how you define a constant in a concrete class. You need to explicitly say it's public, static, and final. Let's look at how we can use this. So to do this, you can do animal dot default sound, and the same thing. If you say animal dot default sound is equal to test2, you get a same problem because this is a final. Okay, so here it's static. We use the name of the class, default sound of an animal. Okay, so we call them using the class names because they are static and they are final. You can't change their values. In the interface, you don't need to explicitly say they are public, static, final because by default they are. because that's the only field you can have in an interface. Whereas in an abstract or even a concrete, it's pretty much the same because I've made it clear in my comments, and concrete classes, you need to explicitly mention that they are static and final. If I take this off, let's see what happens. Now, when I take this off, now it is no longer a constant. This is no longer a constant because it can actually now be modified by each instance of the animal class, and its value can be changed after it's been initialized. So here I can use this one using the reference, I keep saying car, using the reference of cat1, because this is no longer a static field. Use class name to call the constant as it's static, okay? Whereas here, it is no longer static, right? So we can actually see that you call it from the instance, and then this also would be possible. And let's print it again to show you that now it's no longer final. It can be modified. Okay, so the key difference, so I'm just gonna undo so that we come back to, oh no, I lost my comment. Yeah, I'll bring it back to animal. And let's summarize. And let's make this back to static final. And let's run it. Now it's back to everything, back to what it's meant to be. So to summarize, to create a constant in a class, you need to explicitly say static final. Use the keyword static final, whereas in interfaces, constants are implicitly public static final and don't require the keywords for clarity. I hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.